Katsuki and Ijiro spend 2 weeks trying to solve a safety problem by removing the very thing that keeps them grounded, only to realize that loving a hero isn't vulnerability, it's the only choice that matters. Now that the 2 week silence is broken, how does Katsuki actually handle the tell me when you're scared rule? Does he become over communicative in a way that's almost aggressive? Or does he still struggle with the vulnerability of admitting when a specific villain threat is keeping him up at night? The argument starts the way most arguments do, in your apartment, quietly, and then all at once. You notice it before they say anything. The way Katsuki keeps his eyes on his phone, a bit too long, when you lean over to kiss his cheek. The way Ijiro's laugh doesn't quite reach his eyes at dinner, his hand slipping away from yours, under the table just for a second, before it normally would. Small things, the kind of things you would miss if you weren't paying attention, but you were always. Okay, you set your chopsticks down and look between them. What's going on? Ijiro opens his mouth, and Katsuki cuts him off. Nothing. That was the least convincing thing I've ever heard in my life. Katsuki's jaw tightens. He stabs a piece of tofu, like it personally offended him. Katsuki, your voice softens. Look at me. He does, and that's almost worse, because his eyes are doing that thing where they're too careful, too controlled, the opposite of the boy who kisses you, like he's trying to prove something. We've been talking, Ijiro says finally. His voice is gentle, but his shoulders are braced, the way they get before he hardens his skin, like he's expecting impact. About you and us, and whether this is. Whether this is what? He exhales through his nose. Safe. For you. The word lands in the middle of the table, like something dropped from a great height. You stare at him, and then at Katsuki, who is now very deliberately not looking at either of you. You're not serious. The Vanguard hit 3 heroes last month, Katsuki says, voice flat and clipped. 2 of them were targeted, through people they were close to. Girlfriend of the first one got her apartment burned down. The second one. He stops. His hand curls into a fist on the table. It doesn't matter. You get the point. I get the point, you say slowly. But I wanted to say the whole thing out loud, because I want to make sure that I'm understanding what you're actually suggesting. Ijiro looks pained. We're not breaking up with you. That's not what this is. Then what is it? We don't know, he admits. That's why we haven't said anything. We've been going back and forth for 2 weeks and we still don't. 2 weeks? You've been sitting on this for 2 weeks and neither of you said a word to me. Katsuki finally looks up. Because we knew we'd exactly do this. Do what? React? Have an opinion about decisions that directly involve my own life. Get defensive before we even finish explaining. Katsuki. His name comes out sharp enough that he actually closes his mouth. You breathe. Once. Twice. I'm not being defensive. I'm sitting here very calmly while you tell me that the 2 of you have been having private conversations about whether our relationship is something that should continue, without including me in a single second of that conversation. And I'd like you to think about how that feels from where I am sitting. Silence. Ijiro's expression crumbles slightly at the edges. That's fair. Katsuki says nothing, which from him is basically the same thing. I know you're scared, you say, and your voice comes out quieter than you intended to. I know what happened to those heroes' partners. I read the same news you do. I'm not an idiot, and I'm not pretending the risk does not exist.
Then you understand why.
Yes, I do understand why you're scared. You cut Katsuki off, not unkindly. That's different from understanding why your solution is to make decisions for me. He opens his mouth and closes it again. Ijiro leans forward, elbows on the table, and rubs both hands over his face.
We just. God. We just don't want anything to happen to you because of us. Because of who we are. What we do.
He looks up, and his eyes are red-rimmed in a way that makes your chest ache.
You're the best thing in both our lives. And this job, the enemies we make. We can't always control what comes home with us.
No, you agree. You can't. You let that sit for a moment. But here's the thing. You continue. I knew who you both were when I fell in love with you. I knew Katsuki had a target on his back, the size of a billboard, before we ever even went on a first date. I knew Ijiro runs into situations that would make most people run in the opposite direction. I knew all of it. You looked between them, holding each of their gazes in turn. That wasn't ignorance. That was a choice. And it's one I keep making every single day. Katsuki's jaw is working. That familiar tension in the line of his shoulders. That means he's thinking hard and hating how much he feels. You don't get to unmake a choice. For me. Especially not this one. Not because you love me. Love doesn't work that way. The apartment goes quiet. And then Ijiro moves first, pushing back from the table and crossing to your sides, dropping to his knees next to your chair. He takes both of your hands in his.
I'm sorry for not telling you. That was wrong.
Yes, it was. Katsuki hasn't moved, but when you look at him, something in his expression has shifted.
I'm not apologizing for being worried about you,
He says, voice rough. I'm not asking you to. A muscle in his jaw jumps.
but I should have talked to you instead of
going behind my back for 2 weeks.
Shut up, I'm trying to.
I know. I know you are. You bring your hand up and press it flat to his chest. He catches your wrist and just holds it there. We're not doing this again. If something scares you, if something changes, if the threat level goes up, if you hear something, you tell me. We'll figure it out together. The three of us, okay? Ijiro gets to his feet, pressing his forehead to your shoulder. Okay. They both look at Katsuki. He holds out for another 3 full seconds, and then exhales through his nose.
Fine. Yeah, okay.
You lean up and press a kiss to the corner of his mouth. He turns into it, just slightly, before he can stop himself. Some things at least are never in question. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you like this video. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, and goodbye.